totals in the NBA for Saturday, November 5th. Let's go ahead and let's just dive right in. Make sure to check SBR for the best odds out there. They're always changing, always moving. I always want to see where the line is moving, especially on NBA totals, because they can move quite a bit. Let's dive right in. We got 5 games on the board today. We got Minnesota and Oklahoma City in the first one. I'm going to go over the total of 206. That's at Pinnacle Sports, but it's also across the board. And let's just go ahead and let's dive into some statistics here. We got Minnesota. They're averaging 104 points per game. They're giving up 97.5. That ranks 7th in the NBA. Tom Thibodeau, no doubt. Oklahoma City, they're averaging 102 points per game, and they're giving up 101.6 points per game. But for me, this is all about the tempo. And some good things I like about this, why I want to go over the total of 206 here, is Oklahoma City. They rank first in the NBA, averaging 91.2 attempts per game, and they're allowing over 88 attempts per game. That ranks around second to last in the NBA. It is right currently it's second to last. Ranking them 20. Well, that'd be third to last. 28th in the NBA. Minnesota is not a high fast tempo team. They're averaging just 80.5 attempts per game. That ranks second to last, and they're allowing 80, which also ranks as one of the slower, allowed as far as opponents getting up shots. But what I like about this Minnesota team is their talent, is they can knock down shots. They're shooting 47% on the year. Oklahoma City, not as good, 42.3%, but the tempo. I think we're going to get there because of how fast this game is going to go. Oklahoma City, they've gone over this total 3 out of their 5 contests so far this season. I think they go over this 206 tonight. Should be, I think it's going to be a really challenging matchup for Oklahoma City. So, Minnesota, they're no joke. I think they're a sleeper this year in the West, along with a team like Utah. All right, let's go ahead and let's get on to our next one here. We got Denver and Detroit. I'm going to go under the 204.5. I found that one at Bookmaker, but that's kind of across the board as well. Denver, they're averaging 106 points per game, giving up 105 points per game. And then we got Detroit. Really good job by my boy Stan Van Gundy on defense. Defensively, they've been great. They're averaging 100 points per game, but they're giving up just 94.4 points per game, and they're allowing opponents to shoot just 42.8%. That ranks 4th in the NBA. On top of that, you got Denver. They're allowing just 43.4%, which ranks 7th in the NBA. 2 good defensive teams. Their tempo's pretty high, so if they, get into a rhythm, if they get into a rhythm, they're going to go over this total. But I think defensively they're going to step up. Last year we had finals for them at 205 and 195. I like under the total here of 204.5. Pretty decent tempo, but their defense is their foundation. I think both these coaches know it, and I think they're going to get enough stops to stay under this 204.5. Next one up, we got Washington, Orlando. I'm going over the total of 203.5. That's across the board at SBR. Washington on the season, they're averaging 101.7 points per game. They're giving up 113 points per game. And Orlando is averaging 96 points per game and giving up 103.2 points per game. Now, Washington's been terrible defensively, but yesterday they were great. Against Atlanta, actually, I got those numbers right here. Against Atlanta, they allowed just 38.6% from the field, but they didn't shoot well either. 38.8%. 3-pointers were non-existent. Both teams shooting 25% or 25% for Washington, 20% for Atlanta. They just could not knock down a shot. The pace was not that great, which is really weird for a Scott Brooks team for Washington because, they want to go up tempo. I think we're going to see that tonight. Now, Washington as well, they're number 1 in the league in points in the paint. And Orlando is 28th in the league defensively in that area. So Washington's going to be able to score. Then we get to the attempts. Orlando's at home. I like their tempo. They're averaging 88.8 attempts per game, and that ranks in the top 5 in the league. And they're also allowing 88 attempts per game. That ranks, again, as one of the top teams in the league as far as opponents' shots allowed. So look for, interesting enough, Frank Vogel's, pushing some pace this year. I think Orlando's going to do it. I think Washington's going to be really glad to play a team not as defensively sound as Atlanta was last night. Look for the Wizards to score and for the Magic to score over this 203.5. Next one up, we got Washington's opponent yesterday, Atlanta. We got Houston, Atlanta, 218.5. Big total. I got that one at Bet Online. Again, check SBR. I'm going over the 218.5. I think this is going to be an absolute track meet. Houston's averaging 110 points per game. They're giving up 107. Atlanta, they're averaging 110 points per game. That's probably down a little bit. Excuse me. I got this statistic here before they played Washington. So that's going to be down. And they're giving up just 97.2 points per game. So right now it's about the same with they gave up 95 to Washington. And I find this total interesting because Houston's averaging 83 attempts, Atlanta 84 attempts. But this is what it's going to be. It's Houston is still finally, we got this game this game is in Atlanta. So the Hawks get to come back home, take on a Houston team that wants to go up tempo. Atlanta, I'm sure they're going to be way happy to go ahead and run with them. Both these teams shoot over 47%. So I think Budenholzer and D'Antoni are going to have a fun time tonight with these two getting up and down the court. Houston's off rest. They're going to push tempo. Atlanta, coming off a back-to-back, probably going to be lacking a little bit defensively. Look for this one to be a high-scoring one. Odds makers set this one high for a reason. So 218.5, it seems too high. It's not. This is going over 220, in my opinion. All right. And, we got one. I'm having a little trouble here with my headset. All right. And last one on the day. Sacramento and Milwaukee. I'm going to go under the 204.5. That one I found at sportsbetting.com. Sacramento's averaging 99.7 points per game, giving up 102.5 points per game. And then Milwaukee is averaging 106 points per game and giving up 106 points per game. But, when we look at these teams, neither of them are really that great in and putting the ball in the basket. As far as being efficient, in efficiency, Milwaukee's 14th in the league and Sacramento is 15th. And Sacramento goes at a really slow pace. I understand Milwaukee's going to want to go up tempo, but Sacramento's not. And I think they're better than Milwaukee. So I think they're going to be able to control the tempo a little bit better, even though they're the road team. Right now, Sacramento's averaging 80.8 attempts per game, and they're giving up 79.3. That ranks third in the league. Milwaukee, they're getting up 87.8 attempts per game, which Jason Kidd wants to do, and they're pretty young as well. By the way, just thought I'd mention that as a side note. But they got some talent. I think I don't know if Jason Kidd's the right fit there. We'll just have to wait and see. But they're allowing just 84.8 attempts per game. That ranks 12th in the league, so that's decent as far as the tempo we want to see to stay under 204.5. So I think both these teams are going to struggle scoring. And I think Milwaukee actually might be able to get enough stops against a pretty slow-paced Sacramento team. So I'm going to go under the 204.5. All right, let's go ahead and recap this. I'll pull it up right here. Here we go. We got Minnesota, Oklahoma City over the 206. Denver and Detroit under the 204.5. Washington and Orlando over the 203.5. Houston, Atlanta over the 218.5. And Sacramento, Milwaukee under the 204.5. Those are our totals play. For the day. It's a long video. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. You just have to keep rolling with it because we don't want to cut anything. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make those plays. Those are my 5 totals play on the year. Currently, we're sitting at 24-19, so we can't complain. And let's see if we can have another good day. And I wish you luck on all your picks today.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.